All right, good afternoon, guys. Thank you for joining us on our panel, which we're going to talk about lean production technologies. My name is Lindsay Stewart. I am the CEO of a company called Stringr. And if you want to think about what Stringr does, we have really two buckets of services. One is a videographer network. It's about 120,000 individuals strong that allows you to put in real-time requests for video, both live and taped, and bring it back and get what you want. So you could ask for video of this fine Javits Center and get many choices in the course of 20 minutes using our videographer network as one example. The other bucket of what we do is a software solution, and it's an integrated technology that allows you to do really everything as it relates to video production, asset management, and distribution. And so while I am the CEO and founder of the company, I'm really going to act as a moderator today and bring you through a case example that we have with one of our major media customers, where we've taken all of those tools and all of that access to the videographer network and helped them launch a fast channel. And so what we did this summer is we went to this customer that has a number of stations here in the US and said, hey, why don't we launch a fast channel according to your own editorial guidelines? In this case, it's a statewide Georgia television station, basically, and we'll stand that up in 3 weeks. And while I was the person who pitched this to this customer, I am certainly not the person who executed on this vision or used all of the tools to accomplish this task. So what I've brought with me today is two members of my team, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves. First, Olivia.
I'm Olivia. I'm a producer with Stringr, currently leading production on our statewide political show that Lindsay just mentioned. And it's really just my responsibility to kind of oversee production, make sure all of the elements end up go into our show, and that we're delivering a polished, informative product to our client and our viewers.
And we also have Kareem Ferguson, who hopefully has a good mic now.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Kareem Ferguson. So I am the host of the show that we will discuss, and also I'm also one of the creators of the content, or interview the subjects that we have, and I'll stop there.
So for a lot of you here, you've been a part of a production, or you've been at the helm of a production, but what we all know, and I used to be a field producer for a number of networks, is that it takes a lot of people, it takes a lot of tools. And so what I'm hoping today is to have my team talk to you about how we launched this channel and what their day-to-day looks like, and how that might differ from kind of the normal flows that we're used to when we're creating whole shows, especially a daily show like we did for this particular customer. So Olivia, you're the main producer of Neighborhood TV Georgia. Tell me, what you do every day and how your role is a little bit greater than the average producer.
Yeah, I am not the typical producer, and I will sort of qualify that with two things before running through what my day-to-day looks like. And the first is that I do a lot of different things. I have a lot of different responsibilities, so much so that I have my notebook just in case I forget to mention anything. And the second thing is that what makes my role that much more efficient is I'm able to rely on a lot of the different tools that are embedded into the Stringr platform to kind of make things a little bit easier. So I start my day, I come in, I do a lot of sort of research around what the big stories are in the news, what kind of has Georgia buzzing, and then I will start by writing the top of the show. We're producing 6 new minutes of content every day, so that goes at the top of the show, and then what is sort of the bottom of the show gets cycled out, and that creates our 30 minutes. So we have 3 stories that we're looking at every day, and once I have the writing done, we'll go into filming, and we have our own sort of in-house studio where Kareem kind of takes the intros and the lead-ins into our stories. We get that on film, and then I'll really start with content gathering, and that's sort of the bulk of the day.
If I could jump in here, how do you get video every day? Walk them through that process, the actual requesting a video, and who do you use?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had the privilege of actually working on our news desk. We use us to get the video, and so I really know sort of the ins and outs of how the process works, but it's extremely simple. I will put in those requests through the Stringr platform for video. So I'll kind of act as if I was a client putting in those video requests. So I might, for example, say, I want video of early voting at a particular polling location in Georgia. I'll throw that into the system, add in the location, add in the deadline that I want, and then I can really turn away. And while our news desk is gathering that content for us and assigning a videographer, I can just turn around and kind of start working on all of the other sort of number of things that I have going on throughout the day. So
to be clear, do we have any staff photographers in Georgia?
We rely on our entire network of videographers there, and we have our network is really expansive, but we do have a few really solid, reliable videographers in pretty much every major city, and we can just kind of turn to them. And I'm not even doing this work, I'm just simply putting the request in, basically filling out a form, and then a videographer will inevitably get assigned through this process, and I'll have the video. It doesn't need to get sent to me, it's just there on the platform, and it in theory just appears there by the deadline.
So while that's all happening, you've put in the requests. What else are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm doing everything else. So I'm working on other sort of types of content with Kareem. He mentioned that he uses our own interview function, also built into Stringr, to conduct these interviews, which I'm sure he'll speak to a little bit in a minute. But I sort of work on tailoring that content, I do some editing, and then continue to kind of refine the show. And if last minute, if some other sort of breaking news story comes up that we know is going to need to be in that feed, we can pivot. I can create write a new segment, film it with Kareem, and all of this can happen while we're waiting on that video to come in.
So Kareem, the girls are taking all the stage and all the air out of the room,
as they should.
As we tend to do. Tell me a little bit about your role. And you've worked in TV your whole life, and hosts have a certain kind of role in a certain place normally in production. But what are the other things you do? Again, no one person gets to do one thing anymore. So what are you doing these days?
Absolutely, Lindsay. I not only the host, as we mentioned. For example, that guy up there in that photo, he's a political analyst. Can you hear me still? Okay, he's a political analyst, and so when Olivia is sourcing video for the story that we're going to tell, I'm interviewing that guy, right? And I can do it by myself. There's no need for a camera person. It's myself and him, and it goes directly into our platform through the interview portal that we have at Stringr. And then moments later, I press a button, and that interview is transcribed. And so I will then go to my desk, look at portions of that interview that I would like to put in, that again would ally with the video for the story that we're going to make. And so that's one of the things, that's what I do. I can do many stories from one location throughout the day for the different topics that we're working on.
I was just going to add quickly that whenever Kareem does an interview, we also have, we have an editor working in Los Angeles who, as soon as the interview has been filmed and transcribed, he will see that appear on the platform, and he can take pieces from that interview, grab his sound bites. Really easy. It's all right there. So it's a very sort of simple process, and it's all very streamlined.
So, Kareem, you and I worked together at Fox, and you started as a tape librarian. And when we were preparing for this panel, we kept saying, send the video, send the video, send the video. Are we sending the video anywhere? Because you know what sending the video means. And maybe you could contrast a little like how this environment works compared to actually sending video or booking satellite feeds or getting it in and out of one system.
Absolutely. When Lindsay and I were at Fox, just like the old school library where you pull a book, I'd have to go down and get this big old videotape, slide it in one machine, send it to another part of the country or another part of the city. When we're out in LA, here it's Stringr on the platform, it's there immediately. There is no sending, it's accessible, it's available to all of us immediately once it gets uploaded from the videographer into the platform.
And then we've talked a lot about collaboration in the cloud. Almost everybody's kind of moving to cloud tools, but we have this integrated solution that we use. How does that help you, for instance, when we have a package that was, about Georgia voters or voting laws in Georgia, and we suddenly need to change that to speak to a North Carolinian audience? Maybe you could speak to that, Olivia.
Yeah, absolutely. I can speak to that. So we sort of have all of these foundational elements already ready to go in our editor for a package like that. If we're talking about voting in Georgia, early voting, which is very relevant now. If we wanted to kind of move that over to a different area, we really would just be filling it in with sort of new expert sound bites, for example, putting in video requests for new B-roll from that area, and all we would need to do then is go into our editor, and we all have, again, we have an editor through Stringr that we work with that we can all very easily access, and we can actually access each other's pieces. And so if one of our editors is working on that Georgia story and I decide, okay, last minute I really want to throw this into a North Carolina stream, I can go into the editor myself and start replacing that content. And it's all very easy. We have our narration or track already in there. We can make some quick edits to that in our sound booth, and then it's really just a matter of taking out the video that's related to Georgia, replacing it with some North Carolina elements, and really tailoring that story to the area that it's supposed to be set in or sent to.
And I'm gonna throw out a surprise question now, just to scare you. When I came to you and I said, "Hey, we have to launch a show in 2.5 weeks for a major media company," and you had used maybe 1 or 4 of these tools, did you think it would all come together as quickly and with as few people as you have? I mean, really, it's 3 human beings that work on a daily show every day. What were your initial thoughts, and what do you think now?
I was a little scared, to be quite honest, but I like to lean into things that challenge me. And the platform, though, makes the work easier, the efficiency. It's all accessible. We're right there. So I found it really helpful, because there is no sending, there is no wait, there's no delay time in getting information. So
I think the sort of obvious answer is maybe no. I didn't think I would be ready, but really, if I think about it, it's yes, because I knew that based off of what I had already experienced with using all of these different tools and all of these different technologies, that really kind of using them in tandem and using them with other people, it really was just going to be about then us collaborating as a team. And the team is the 2 of us plus our editor, Claudio, who couldn't be here with us today, so shout out to him. But the 3 of us really, we had a really, really great working style together, and it was really about sort of just having open communication in order to make those tools kind of as effective as possible, because they are already, extremely easy and straightforward to use. So.
Well, listen, we hope we've given you a little bit of an overview, but if any of the information we presented today is interesting to you, you can, of course, come to us through the website door, which is stringr.com, or we're right here to answer a few questions if you have them. But thank you for your time today and for learning about Stringr's integrated workflow, making lean production possible.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.